Greetings, Judah. DFG here, Gideon's Flight. Hey guys, just want to take a few minutes today and just share some things that are, on my mind, maybe on your minds as well. Uh, there's a lot happening. There is a lot happening around this country, and pretty much most of it is centered around whether or not you have been inoculated or not inoculated. And right now they're telling us that the supply chain that is broken. All the barges or containers that are sitting off at sea or wherever they're sitting on the ports, that they can't get those in because people not coming to work, or because people left the workplace for that particular reason. You know what I'm saying? Because of what they claim is the results of the virus. And then in addition to that, they're talking about the shortage of actual food, which is true. And I have to continue to reemphasize that, because so many of us, and in particular I'm talking about the so-called black people, Judah, we are some of the most, or we can be, let me say it that way, we can be some of the most rebellious, stubborn, hard-headed people or nation on the planet. Why that is, I can't say. Maybe it's still the judgment of Elohim against us for turning our back on him, and maybe he is still not at a point where he's going to release the curse on our people, except for those of us who have, never betrayed him, or those of us who betrayed him in ignorance, but then came back to knowledge, and now we serve him. But this food shortage thing is for real. And yet you can see our people still wasting their resources, still, going about their everyday life as though there's nothing coming, there's no shortage ahead. And not only is it a food shortage, pretty soon it's going to be a shortage of places to live. Because I'm going to tell you something about that whole rent subsidy program. That left such a bad taste in so many landlords' mouths that, see, the poor among us, if and when, because many will, they get evicted because of a lack of resources, a lack of government funding, the government's going to run out of money, they're not going to have anywhere to reside except these FEMA camps. Because these landlords, they're going to go back and they're going to look and see where you live. They're going to check to see what your credit rating is, or your housing rating, whatever they check to see if you've been a good tenant. And they're going to realize that a lot of our people, were not. For whatever your reason may have been, if that applies to you, so be it. But what I'm saying is that, we are totally unprepared for what's coming. And we go about as though, somehow or another, it's just going to work itself out, because it always does. When in truth, it really never has. All they've ever done, this government, this system, the heathen system, all it's ever done is just extended its control over us by using its resources to manipulate the outcomes of our people. Everything from the welfare system, to the EBT system, to the prison industrial complex, locking our men up, to drugs being released in our communities, weapons being released into our community, to people who really should not possess weapons, not responsible gun owners, but quite frankly, those who would take those guns to hold their own people hostage, to obviously, the bad food that is available in our community, food that literally will turn your insides out. And what I mean by turning your insides out, eating the food that our people eat for the most part are foods that are going to ultimately have them in the Medicare system. In other words, they're going to need, serious medical attention because of serious health issues. And there's probably one or two others that I haven't thought about. Even, transmitting of sexual viruses, because we don't talk about that enough. And I would tell you that, sexual viruses can kill you. Sexual viruses can kill you. And again, it's something that people don't think about, because we're told, well, you can have HIV and they can treat that, or you can have STDs and, and different kind of, body infections, yeast infections, whatever. And they'll tell you, they'll give you the impression that as long as you're taking certain medications, it's going to be fine. But what they don't tell you is that the medication that you're taking ultimately is going to cause, you to end up with some form of bone cancer. They don't tell you that. Or some type of organ cancer. They don't tell you that. And left untreated, you can be assured that it's going to cause you some type of cancer. They don't talk about that. What they do is just encourage our people to be very immoral when it comes down to sexual behavior. Again, another danger. So it's a compilation of all those things, and probably a few things that I did not mention. And I bring it to your attention because I just want you to be thinking about it. I want you to give yourself some time to reflect upon it. And you ask yourself the question, if a crisis was to hit right now, this very day, what would happen to you? And what I mean by a crisis, I'm talking about, let's just say if this country, is hit with some type of chemical warfare or a chemical attack. What would happen to you? What would happen to you? What would happen to your family? And I know some of you probably saying, well, I guess we'll just die. But understand, that's a coward answer. Now, this is the point where I'll lose some subscribers. And you know what? Bye. Because someone else will come and take your place. This is not the channel, for the squeamish. You've heard me say it before. If you've got some kind of emotional instability that you can't stand truth, or you cannot deal with a counter narrative, then this is not the channel for you. This channel is for mature listeners. All right, mature listeners. So again, if your answer is, well, I guess we'll just die, that's a coward. That's a very cowardly approach when you could take steps to protect yourself and protect your family. Your attitude is you're going to just let your children just die. And I know, again, some of you, a chemical attack, that can never happen. Well, tell me this. New York City right now, today, for the next 3 days, next 3 days, they're going to put a non-toxic gas in their subways. The next 3 days, go look it up for yourself. New York City, a city of 10 million people, they're going to release a non-toxic gas in their subways over the next 3 days. And you know why they're going to do it? Because they want to see how it would impact 10 million people who use their subways, who are using their subways on a regular basis. So they're going to practice or test a non-toxic gas to see how the subway system would be impacted if a toxic gas was released there. Yet you accuse me, some of you, not all of you, of course, of using scare tactics. That's not a scare tactic. And truth, it's not a scare tactic. It's just a warning. It's just to let you know they expect something to happen. Why aren't you preparing for something to happen? If your national government anticipates a chemical toxic gas attack on this country, why would you take the position that couldn't happen? They believe it. The rest of the world, for the most part, at least your so-called first-class nations, you know what I'm saying? Russia, China, Japan, England, France. Those countries have already trained their people on how to respond to those kind of things. But not America. Not your country. because your country just see you as useless eaters for the most part. So they're willing to let you die. My challenge to you is, what are you doing to prevent that? Because see, when you're walking in courage, then you don't have time to be aloof. You don't have time to not be focused on what you need to do, again, in a crisis, in a shit hit the fan type of situation. And I'll give you something else. I'll put something else on your mind, something you might want to be thinking about, my sisters and my brothers, something you might want to think about. What about if this gas that they're releasing, this non-toxic gas that they're releasing, let's just say, let's do a what if. What if, because if you have been vaccinated, I know I shouldn't use that word, of course, now you have a virus inside of you, right, to build up your immune system. But your immune system has now been compromised, because that's what, flu, all this inoculation things you get, that's what they're supposed to do. They put a little bit into your body so that your body can learn to resist it and fight it off. What is this non-toxic gas that they released? That once you inhale it, and there are people in New York City today, I guarantee you don't have no knowledge. I mean, they probably told them over the news and whatever, but I guarantee there's some folk out there have no clue. Because if they did, the one place I would not be, if I was a New York City person, the one place I wouldn't be using today in the next few days is the damn subway. But I bet you right now, there are probably millions of people using that subway system. But what if, because your immune system has been compromised already to make you healthy, according to them, what if your immune system has a reaction to that non-toxic gas? What could be the repercussions? And then, let's just say 50% of the people were compromised in New York City. This is what I would tell you. Probably in less than a week and a half, the whole planet, flat Earth, would be affected with whatever the end results of that compromising would be. We've been told many times through TV, media, whatever, how you say, art imitating life, about zombies, Walking Dead, people just doing things that you never could imagine that they would do in public. I'm not talking about the ones who do it in the dark. We know that's been going on forever. But the people are doing things now in public that you would have never imagined. Your imagination, 10 years ago, you would have been, bullshit, they're not going to do nothing like that. Nobody does that. Well, you might want to reconsider that, because it's happening. And the question is, the question that's not being asked is why? What's different? What's different over the last couple of years that now people are acting strange and people are afraid to be around other people? People won't embrace you anymore. People have been told to stay away, to distance themselves from other people, to protect themselves from the oxygen that you need to stay healthy, etc., etc., etc. Children are next, next in line to embrace this new normal, if you want to call it that. And you know what I'm talking about. So let's not pretend like you don't know what your brother is talking about. Now they want to introduce it to the 5-year-olds and the 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds. But what if that is the reason why all this stuff is happening, as I began this message with? Everything is centered around that particular thing. And what is this thing now having people to act in ways that no one would have ever imagined, again, a few years ago? I'll give you an example. Philadelphia. I think it was yesterday, day before yesterday. On a subway train, a man physically assaults a woman, rapes her, and this assault goes on for 40 minutes. 40 minutes. Subway full of people. Nobody. When I say nobody, many people witnessed this assault. He raped her. And no one did anything to stop him. They all just kind of stood there. Some had their cameras out recording it. But nobody came to her defense. No one. Now, what would cause that? I mean, he's an animal, a beast. You know, someone who should be really not incarcerated. He should be shot, hung. You know, he should be killed. Okay? Simple and plain. But but that aside, what would make people just stand there and not react? And I know some people would say, well, you know, it ain't got nothing to do with me and I didn't want to get involved, whatever. But that's not our normal behavior. That's not normal. We're grown men and women. Nobody called 911. Nobody did anything. So that's not a zombie-like state of mind. To see a horrendous crime taking place right in front of your eyes, someone who's being raping a woman is probably one of the most vicious acts a man could possibly do. Raping anybody is probably one of the most vicious, dehumanizing things anyone can do. And I'm telling you, if I was in a position to determine what should happen to a rapist, I'm going to tell you right now, kill them. Kill them. Die. Death. Immediately. No, we're not going to sit in jail for 5 years or 2 months. No, take him out in the back and put that dog out of his misery. That's my opinion. Maybe you have a different one. But my point is, these people stood there and they did absolutely nothing about it. Does that not remind you of The Walking Dead? Some of these you know, series that we've seen where the animals or the dead are slaughtering other people, slaughtering the living, and other dead just stand right there and wait their turn to have a shot at them. But again, you know, we look at this and we don't have any response to this because most of our people are so far in the clouds, or something has changed inside of them that for whatever reason it became acceptable. And a lot of you sisters, I'm going to come back to you again. I don't need nobody. I can do this by myself. I don't need no covering. I don't need no man. All right. What do you think the chances would have been had she had a man with her on that subway the other day? If her husband, her I don't know, boyfriend, you know, the person in her life who watches over her, who protects her. What do you think the chances would have been for that to have happened to her? I would venture to say almost impossible. Almost zero chance. Yet your brother has been warning you now for years that days like that will be coming and knocking on your door. And this is when you still can get food. You still can get water. This happened yesterday, day before yesterday. What do you think is going to happen when there's no food, no water, no shelter for you, and nobody to protect you? What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? You know what's going to happen. You already know. So when your brother is coming at you saying that Elohim says you have to have a covering, I'm not coming at you in some form of marginalizing you. We are in the last days. We are in the evil days. These are in times like never have been known. Our book says that it will be worse than it was in the days of Noah, the days of Sodom and Gomorrah. In them days, they were doing every kind of vicious act known to man. That's why Elohim had to put them to death. They were that wicked. And yes, the women were being ravished, raped, torn to pieces. And some of the men were being treated that way as well. So when we come to you with the word, when Isaiah chapter 4, verse 1, when he says there are going to be 7 women begging a man, just begging him, take me in. Don't leave me out here. You know, just bring me, make me a part of your household. You follow me? You don't have to take care of me. You don't have to feed me. You know, you don't really have to clothe me. All you have to do is keep me safe. You notice it didn't say they're going to go to a police officer and ask for help. Isaiah didn't say they were going to go to the government or to the king and ask for help. He said they were going to go to a man and ask for his protection. Now, the book is just prophesying to you, my sisters, what's going to happen. Now, you can reject it. You can reject it. Again, our people are hard-headed, stiff-necked, won't listen to reason, won't listen to the truth. They won't even see with their own eyes. They will not recognize what's happening right in front of them because it does not conform to what they want to believe. Because when you want to believe a lie or your own lies, how can you ever embrace the truth? So you deny the truth, and then when death and destruction comes your way, unaware, because I'm sure that sister didn't know she was about to get raped on that subway train, not with all those people there. I guarantee you, that was the last thing on her mind when she got on that train. But it happened anyway. But when the people deny the truth, then they open themselves up for viciousness, hostility, sudden destruction, as the book says. But again, it's not like, it's catching us unawares. It's foretold. But when you don't listen, it's going to catch you by surprise. See, everybody's surprised. I can't believe something like that happened. How could that happen? Well, easy. When you got a bunch of people in a zombie-like state of mind who are only concerned about themselves and nobody else. And now that's the world. That's the reality that we're in today, with the rare few of us who still honor Elohim and love our people. When I say love, I'm not talking about some little effeminized, emasculated, kumbaya, all of the children of God bullshit. Forget that shit. Ain't got nothing to do with it. Somebody love you will take out a knife or a sword or a gun and wipe somebody out if they try to harm you. That's the kind of love your brother is talking about. But yeah, we are. Here's where we sit. Totally unprepared, totally uninformed, going on about our day as though there is no danger on the horizon. But it is. Also, think in terms of in the book of Isaiah in chapter 3. Again, we're talking last days, these days that we're in. It says that our men would die by the sword. In other words, they would be killed. Some of them are killing one another. Some will be killed by other means. Some will be killed through the war that's coming. I'm talking about the final war. Many of our men are going to die. Vicious deaths. The book said so. Probably one of the reasons why a lot of our women are going to be bounty of war, which means that when you're a bounty of war, sister, that means that whoever is the victor, they can do whatever they want to do to the women. And I do mean whatever they want to do to the women. That means little girls and infants as well. Bounty. Spoils of war. The reason why many of your sisters are only going to find one man is not because Elohim, wants you in a polygamous relationship. It's just that there ain't going to be enough men. So you're going to have to come together in groups if you want to be protected. Because the men are going to be dead as well. As judgment. Because, again, find a good man today. I'm talking about a genuine, caring, courageous provider in his right mind, not trying to take advantage, not trying to harm you, not trying to harm his brother. It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can find one, but you're going to have to really, really, really be digging and looking hard. And once you find that needle, you better utilize that needle, sister. Anybody? No one's looking for a needle in a haystack unless they got some sewing to do. They got work in front of them. There's a need. The day is going to come for all of these women out here claiming they don't need no man. They're going to need one, and they're going to need that man just like a seamstress needs a needle to bring about a certain level of covering for herself. You see the logic, the comparison there? So, I would tell, some of you sisters who are by yourself, don't become hard-hearted. Don't get caught up in, well, I don't have nobody, so what can I do? No, seek Elohim and then open yourself up for what Elohim sends your way. But you make sure Elohim sent it. You say, well, how would I know? There'll be signs. There'll be indicators. There'll be indicators. At some point, if you have the Rahuk in you, sister, we are taught, and we know this. But let me remind you. He says, our Rahuk knows Elohim's Rahuk. He says, try the Rahuk by the Rahuk to see if it's from Elohim. So see, if you have his Rahuk, speak it as we'll call spirit. If you have his Rahuk in you, then you'll know when you're with someone else or you're in the presence of a man who has it in him. It'll resonate from him. You'll be able to tell. And then you can look at his works. You'll see it. You can listen to his conversation. You can kind of backtrack him. I mean, social media, you got all the social media. Why aren't you using it in the right way? I mean, you can vet anybody today. You can find out just about anything about anybody today. You go to any one of these district attorney websites, or you can go into almost any, Google up their names, and all kind of shit will come out there. Not hard to know. But the same thing about some of these sisters too. So let me not forget. Because some of you are looking, for your Esther, and you ended up with Vashti. You're looking for an Esther, but you ended up with Vashti. Vashti. In other words, you're looking for a righteous woman, but you end up with these selfish, self-consumed feminists who really don't give a damn about you no more than what you could do for them. Vashti. Go read the book of Esther. You'll find out about Vashti. She was summoned before the king, and she thought it more important to diss the king to impress her girlfriends, and lost everything. But as the old saying, a fool and his money is soon to part. A foolish woman and her man, a good man, she gonna lose him. And the same thing, a foolish man with a good woman, he'll lose her. And rightly so, justly so. So that's how you'll know, sister. That's how you'll know. Beyond that, again, I just want to remind you, we're in dangerous, dangerous times, sisters, my brothers. And we're not in a place where we can just be aloof, not paying attention to the signs. Look around. They're spreading chemicals through their chemtrails. They're pushing a new world order. Hell, look at it this way. For all these police officers, medical people, all these people work on the loading docks, truck drivers. All of these people are being placed in a situation where they got to make a choice. Either comply with the government mandates, Nebuchadnezzar's mandate, you don't mind, apply or comply with the mandate, or be terminated, lives destroyed. And you look at that and you say, oh man, how unright, how wrong. Or maybe you don't think that way. Maybe some of you think, well, they should just go along with it. Well, that's a price to be paid for going along with it. And we've talked about that already. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul, is what Yeshua warned us of. He said, what does it profit a man to gain a life, to make a living, if in making that living he has to lose his soul in hell? It profits him nothing. What does it profit a woman if it means she got to do whatever she got to do to make a living, but she's going to lose her soul in the process? It profits her nothing, because she and he, both of you, us, those, him and her, male, female, you are going to be damned into eternal damnation if you violate what Elohim says you should not violate. And your temple is something that you don't have the permission to violate. So, but when you go back and you look at these so-called essential occupations, police officers, truck drivers, health workers, etc. You know what they want to replace these people with, or who they're going to replace these people with? The military. Now you say, okay, well, you got to replace with somebody, but don't you know that that's the first step towards martial law? I mean, they got to come up with a justification of having military on your streets, in your stores, at your door fronts, in your hospitals, in your parks, in the workplace. Think about it. You're going to have the military bringing food to the markets. So you're going to have people with AR-15s or M16s or whatever assault rifles they have, on your receiving docks. You know what I'm saying? In your hospitals, standing in your parks, at your museums, everywhere you go. And it's not just going to be the United States military. You're going to have the United Nations military there. This is just the beginning of martial law. That's what you're seeing. This is how they're going to justify bringing us, having a standing army on the United States soil, which is illegal. You're not supposed to have a standing army in this country. But that's what's coming. Why do you think they're getting everybody out of Afghanistan and bringing them all back home? Because they're going to need them right here. All this stuff that you think is just somehow another chance and circumstance, this is intentional. It's intentional, all of it. The food shortage, everything I said, the diseases, the killing of our children, the pushing of the homosexual agenda, all this is intentional. They're doing it to implement a one world rulership that our book told us what was to come. Antichrist, who will deceive the whole world, cause them all, rich, poor, great, small, to take the mark of the beast in their foreheads or in their right hands. That is a metaphor, I might add. It's a metaphor for controlling you. That's what it means when they say you're in your forehead or in your right hand. It's a metaphor. In other words, when somebody grabs your hand, why are they grabbing your hand? It's typically what? To control you in some kind of way, even if they pull you closer to stay connected to you. But it's a form of control. When you grab someone's hand, you grab a child's hand, it's what? It's to control them. Or if you get their minds, it's to control them. So when you start looking at what is the mark of the beast, it's something that is happening to control you. What are they pushing right now to control us? To tell us, except we do this, these harsh penalties are going to be applied to us. These harsh penalties. And nothing's going to come back to normal till 100% of us are in compliance. This is what they're saying. Then they're testing chemicals, gases, you name it, they're doing it. Getting rid of your brothers and sisters and bringing in warriors, killers. Military soldiers are killers. That's what they do. Soldiers kill, soldiers die. They're not here, to empathize with you. They're not here to serve and to protect. They're there to control and to kill. And this is what your government sees as its solution to all these people who are going to be forced out of the workplace because they refuse to comply with that wicked mandate. And nobody's talking about it. So your brother's going to talk about it. Are they talking about it, but they're talking about it so generally, or they're so far off the track that it's hard to even understand what they're saying. So I'm going to talk to you in our language. One of you from amongst one of you is going to talk to you. That's your brother here. And what I'm saying to you is the truth. If you do not prepare for what's coming, then be prepared to suffer the consequences of what's coming. And it's going to be harsh, it's going to be vicious, and people will die. Some of you. And guess what? What's sad is that it could be avoided. Our book does say the elect will be saved. So it can be avoided. But you know what it's going to take to avoid this which is to come, which is already in motion. It's going to take a deep, sealed resolve to say no. It's going to take a conviction beyond maybe you've ever had to take, and just say, no, not for me. I ain't doing it. I'm just going to trust Elohim. I'm going to put my faith in his hands. And if I die, I die. You go back and read Esther. That's what Esther said when she was told by her uncle, cousin, to go to the king and violate his law by approaching the king without an invitation. And she said, okay, I'm going to go because my covering advised me that this is the only thing I could do to save my people. And maybe, as he said, I was put in this position for that very moment, to have a voice for my people, like me. That's what I believe, not Esther. I'd like to see myself more as a Mordecai. But she told him, she said, okay, I'm going to do what you said, but if I die, I die. See, that's the same thing that the Hebrew boys, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, Daniel, they said, hey, if I die, I die. If Elohim doesn't save me, then so be it. I'm not going to sell my soul to the king. I'm not going to comply with the king's mandate when I know it goes against the laws, statutes, and commandments of Elohim. And so they stood fast. They held on. And just like they did it, she did it, they did it, you can do it. We can do it. But none of us can do it out of ignorance. In other words, you have to know the truth. The truth is the word of Elohim. You have to hear the truth coming from the watchman of Elohim. You have to walk the truth coming through the strength of the Ruach in your body that gives you the resolve to make it, to stand fast. The book said after you've done everything to stand, stand. Be unmoving. Even if it means your death. Because guess what? Our book says when the righteous among us die, we go before Elohim. But not the cowards, not the unbelievers, those who don't believe the truth. No, you go right with it where the murders are going, the abominable ones are going, the fornicators, adulterers, the liars. That's where you're going to go. Because you were afraid. And you cared more about what they could do to you than what would happen to you for taking a stand against them. You trusted man more than you trusted Elohim. You feared men more than you feared your Creator, who is eternal and who is going to judge all of us. No one. The book says every knee is going to bow, every tongue. So in other words, every one of us are going to say with our own tongues, our own mouth, that Elohim was the only one and true Creator, and we were deceived by listening to these other false gods, these other false doctrines, these religions, these so-called prophets, messengers, you name it. We were deceived, and now we're going to have to be cast out of his presence because our hearts were hard towards him. And then some of us are going to be rewarded for the stance that we took here. And Yah's going to bless us. He's going to call us faithful servants. So there is a way out of all of this madness. But you got to open up your eyes. You have to prepare. Yeshua gave a parable about the 10 virgin brides. And how that 5 were wise and 5 were foolish. And the difference between the foolish virgins, the bridesmaids, and the wise, that the wise ones were prepared for what was to come. They were prepared for an expectation. The foolish ones, they understood the preparation, but they did not maintain their preparedness. And then when the event came for which they were to be rewarded, they were nowhere to be found. I'm talking about 5 of them. Because they had not prepared themselves, they had not held their position, they lost their focus, and then they lost their reward. That's an example to remind you and I of what can happen if you take your eye off of Elohim. If you become lackadaisical or go back. Well, I've been waiting, I've been hearing this for a long time, nothing has happened, I'll come back later. Well, that's what they did. They came back later and they were too late. Before they left, they wanted to tell the other ones who had been standing, hey, give me some of what you got. See, many of us, people are going to come to us in these wicked times. Where's DFG? Where's this sister? Where's this brother? Where are their words? YouTube going to be killed all these channels. You ain't going to find us here. I don't know what you could do to save some of these messages, but I strongly advise you, if you got a place to store these messages, I would store them, because they may not resonate with you today, but one day you may wish you could hear these voices of warning. Advisors, watchmen. But they're going to kill all of us. They're going to shut us down. They're not going to let us keep on warning you. Seriously? And that's what happened to the unwise, bridesmaids. They went to the ones who were prepared. Give me some of what you got. They said, I don't have enough to give you. I only got enough for myself. Sorry. Better go get yours. And while they were gone trying to get it, there was nothing left for them. That's how many of you are going to be if you're not careful. You're going to go to these markets, because when you find out there's nothing at Walmart, then you're going to run to Walmart. It's craziness. Remember when the whole toilet paper shortage happened last year? Everybody run and get toilet paper, and there wasn't no toilet paper. What's the most stupid? They told you they didn't have none, but people were still going in there. When y'all going to get some toilet paper? When they come back in is what they told. So people, I guess, were using rags, I guess, to wipe their butts. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, we all have an opportunity. But you will not, this opportunity is not going to wait on you. You have to take advantage of it. Elohim said, the day you hear my voice, don't harden your heart. Don't get into rebellion. Don't get hard-headed. Don't become high-minded. Listen, humble yourself. Take direction. Take instruction. Take precaution. Get yourself in a safe place amongst like-minded people who have all things in common. Or not. But again, if it could happen to a woman on a subway train in a big city like Philadelphia, full of people, and nobody did anything, what makes you think it can't happen to you? On your job site, on your in transit somewhere, supermarket, out in the park, coming home from a concert or game or ball game, an event. What makes you think that it couldn't happen to you? You stop at a traffic light, somebody comes in and cut you off and snatch you out of there and do whatever they're going to do. Everybody's standing right there looking and just going on about their business. Oh, I'm sorry, recording it. Put on World Star or something. Demons, devils are all around us. Enoch talked about it. We shared that just the other day. Demon seeds all around us. I know some of you don't believe. That's on you. Go back and read the book of Jude. If you don't think the book of Enoch is a valid book, do you believe the book of Jude is a valid book? It's in your Bible, in your King James version of your Bible. It's not an apocryphal book. It's the book of Jude, the last book before Revelation. Go read it. And you tell me it's not referencing Enoch and what Enoch said about these demons, these fallen ones. There's no other book talking about it but Enoch. But your brother is, he's gone too far. Your brother loves you. And you're not going to dissuade him. So, out of respect, we are entitled to our opinions. But we're not entitled to our truth. We're not entitled to our own facts. And the fact of the matter, Jude talks about Enoch. Jude knew about it. Yeshua even quoted scripture out of the book of Enoch. So whether or not you embrace it or not, that's up to you. I have no judgment for you one way or the other. I still appreciate you if you're standing with your brother. I appreciate that. If you're not standing with your brother, I respect your right not to. But please understand, you're not going to persuade me on that. All right, I'm already in. Too late. With that being said, please prepare. Get yourself ready. The end is near, even at the very door. Don't miss this last call, this last warning, or warnings. All right, sisters, my brothers, hearken, heed. Get supplies right now. Sisters, you out there by yourselves, pray, seek Elohim for a covering, even if it's just a spiritual covering until he can send a physical one. Don't just sit out there alone by yourself thinking that somehow or another somebody's going to come and protect you, only to be surprised and shocked when they don't. All right? Brothers, some of you out there too. Look, the path you're taking is going to get you killed. Some of you guys, instead of you stand up against this wickedness, you're going right along with it and encouraging other people to go along with it too. Don't you know that every idle word, every irresponsible word that you speak, you're going to have to give account for it in judgment? Don't you know that? So you're going to have to go to Elohim in judgment. You, brother, talking to you now, Mr. Promoter of the mandate. You're going to have to go to Elohim and explain to Elohim why you told his people that they needed to trust the system and the government, the science, over what he said, that he would never leave, he would never forsake you, that he would protect you. You're going to have to explain yourself to him. Why you told these people not to trust him, they need to trust the science, because that's, after all, what Jesus would do. When Jesus ain't nothing but a made-up science fiction character, no different than Superman. But that blood's going to be on your hand. But for those like-minded, like your brother, I'm going to tell you, as our brother Joshua said, our elder Joshua. Got to stop pronouncing these stupid J's because they really doesn't apply to us. We didn't have J is not an alphabet that our people would have utilized 500 years ago. Surely would have used 1,000 years ago. But y'all know who I'm talking about. In this instance, okay? Go read that book. But you go to chapter 24, verse 15. He said, look, let everybody do what they want to do. Go. If y'all want to serve the gods of your forefathers in Egypt, in their idolatry, their Kemet, all their false entities, their superheroes, you want to do all that, go do it. You want to follow the path of your fathers, just expect the consequences that your fathers, and they were enslaved, prison, brutally murdered, raped, maimed, etc. If that's where you want to go, and we see it happen again these last 400 plus years, say if that's where you want to go, go. Go do it. Keep on doing it. Watch what's going to happen to you. But he says, but as far as me and my house, we serve an Elohim. And that's how I'm in this. My house, whether it's just my inner body, those that trust me as a covering, we gonna serve Elohim. And if those who trust me as a covering, if you're a hypocrite and you think Elohim doesn't see you because your brother doesn't see you, your covering doesn't see you, Elohim sees you. And you're gonna have some explaining to do to him while you were lying about what you were obeying to his watchmen. That said, that's all I got for you right now. Beware, beware, beware. Martial law is coming. Beware, beware, beware. Food shortage is coming. Beware, beware, beware. Housing confinement is coming. A lack of housing is coming. FEMA camps are going to be the new residence for many of our people. In other words, labor camps, where you will do what you're told or die. DFG, talk to you soon. Bye now.